evening and welcome to the City Commission meeting, January 6, 2026. Would you please call the roll?
Mayor McCullough,
Yes.
Commissioner Adamchak,
Here.
Commissioner Opelt,
Here.
Commissioner Motta.
Here.
Mayor, we have 4 commissioners present. The quorum of 3 is met.
Thank you. Would you join me in the Pledge of Allegiance? Next thing on our agenda are proclamations. Brenda, would you join me, please? Would you like a chair? Whereas Brenda Wolf has devoted more than 3 decades of exemplary service to the City of Manhattan, consistently demonstrating professionalism, integrity, and an unwavering commitment to public service. And she has served with distinction as Deputy City Clerk for over 25 years. We've been together for a long time. And City Clerk for 6 years, providing exceptional leadership, continuity, and institutional knowledge essential to effective municipal governments. And whereas throughout her tenure, she has been a trusted advisor to elected, and I can echo that, and appointed officials, staff, and public. Widely regarded as a cornerstone of City Hall for her expertise in municipal processes, her ability to navigate complex matters, and her steady solution-oriented approach. She has played a vital role in the administration of city operations, including elections, official records, ordinances, resolutions, contracts, and other critical functions, ensuring transparency and accuracy and compliance with state and local requirements. In addition to her public service career, Brenda has demonstrated excellence as a college athlete. I just found out she's a shot putter. Being recognized through her induction into Fort Hays State University Athletes Hall of Fame and establishing records that reflect her discipline and commitment to excellence. And Brenda and her husband, John, have shown strong commitment to the community involvement, supporting local schools, athletes, youth programs throughout the Manhattan area. And her legacy is defined by her dedication to public service and her lasting contributions to the City of Manhattan, as well as her roles as a wife, mother, mentor, and friend. Therefore, I, Karen McCullough, Mayor of the City of Manhattan, do declare January 9th, 2026 as Brenda K. Wolf Day, in recognition of her outstanding service as City Clerk, her exceptional leadership, and her lasting positive impact on the operations, culture, and community in the City of Manhattan. Thank you. Thank you. Please.
Oh, thank you, Mayor. I'm not sure that I'm deserving of that
Oh, yes.
wonderful proclamation. The station has been an important part, and it was definitely challenging. I hope that what I have done over the years has benefited the organization. I tried to find ways to make improvements to processes or to create a process if one wasn't in place. What we have been able to accomplish over the years what we have been able to accomplish over the years wasn't just me. It required teamwork and willingness by all. which also involve partners outside of this organization, like the Riley County Clerk's Office, the Riley County Register of Deeds, Riley County Police Department, Kansas State University Police Department, Charleston Wilson Abstract Consultants, architects, engineers, construction companies, and Gilmore Mill, just named a few. Learn from each of you what I needed to do. I appreciate all the patience each of you showed and the valued friendships that developed over the years. I want to thank the commissioners, our outstanding city administration, and the department heads. All the hard to work with each Johnson and Lauren Page, workers, and for you was the smartest thing I ever did. Morgan Cole and made a well-rounded team. We supported each other, picked each other up. Never doubted the ability. Special thanks to my support and understanding over the years, and especially for the emotional roller coaster ride I have put you through since April. I am extremely proud of my adult children and their spouses and their service to the community. I'd like to introduce my husband, John. We've been married 35 years, and he's the reason I'm still alive and standing here tonight. He stayed with me in the hospital and slept in a recliner for like 8 weeks. That is true love. John has served on the Little Apple Soccer Club board, and he was active with the Troop 74. Ashley and Heath Larson actually served as a coach for a traveling soccer team for several years and didn't have any kids on the team.
Wow.
JR, everybody else knows him as John, and Micah. JR is a detective for Raleigh County Police Department, and Micah is a physician's assistant and has served our country. Chad Wolf and Taylor Houston. Chad is a high school math teacher. He's the head freshman football coach at Manhattan High, assistant coach for Manhattan High JV and varsity, and he was part of the last 2 state championships as the coach. And he is also an assistant wrestling coach at Manhattan High School and was part of the 2 state championship teams the last 2 years. To all of you, thank you. I consider you family. It's hard for me to leave my city family. The community is so lucky to have such dedicated individuals. Thank you for your service.
And we can have a less formal goodbye to Brenda on Friday at 11 o'clock here in the conference room, so please join us. Thank you. I have the proclamation for Martin Luther King Day. Is someone there? Welcome. Whereas January 19th, 2026 marks the observance of the Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. federal holiday and service day established by Public Law number 98-144 in 1983. And this holiday highlights the remembrance and celebration and encourages people everywhere to reflect on the principles of nonviolent social change, racial equality, community and humanitarian service, and interracial cooperation. Dr. King devoted his life to advancing equality, social justice, and opportunity for all, and challenged all Americans to participate in the never-ending work of building a more perfect union. We celebrate his life and spirit through community-wide recognitions and service on the King holiday, and it is an appropriate way to honor Dr. King, bringing our citizens together and strengthening our communities and nation. It is appropriate for the city of Manhattan, Kansas, to support a community celebration in observance of the King holiday and day of service honoring Dr. King. And whereas each of us can and must contribute to making our communities better with increased opportunity for all citizens, therefore I proclaim Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. and Community Celebration and Day of Service on from January 17th to 24th. That's many days of service. And I urge all people to pay tribute to the life and works of Dr. King and apply his life principles and teaching of service to inspire others to serve and remember his spirit in our community. Thank you.
Thank you.
Would you like to tell us a little?
Yes, I kind of will. It's good to be here. This year's theme is you don't have to see the whole staircase before you take the first step. Our art and writing contest is still in action right now. It's over on the 9th, and on the 17th, we will be at the Manhattan Arts Center with our community celebration. This organization has been around since 1995, and we're going to continue doing what we do. And I just want to add that K-State's Hands On is also doing a day of service also on the 20th. It's good to see you here, and thank you for your time.
Thank you. And finally, the 250th anniversary people. All the arty people. And Sydney, yay. Whereas the year 2026 marks the 250th anniversary of the signing of the Declaration of Independence and the founding of the United States of America, a milestone that invites reflection on our nation's history, values, and shared ideals. America 250 is a nationwide commemoration that encourages communities to honor the enduring principles of freedom, opportunity, service, and self-government that have shaped our nation for 250 years. The Manhattan community has a long tradition of working together to strengthen civic life, preserve local history, celebrate culture, and create opportunities for learning, creativity, and connection. Successful commemoration depends on a collaboration among local governments, educational institutions, cultural organizations, business, nonprofit groups, and residents working together for a shared purpose. We encourage all residents to participate in ways that are meaningful to them through learning, service, creativity, storytelling, and gathering with neighbors to celebrate the enduring American spirit. Therefore, I'd proclaim the year 2026 as American 250 Community Celebration and affirm support for the collaborative, inclusive, and community-centered efforts that honor our past, celebrate our present, and inspire our future. Thank you. Does one of you want to speak?
Sure. So I'm Barsha Roselle, Director of Visit Manhattan. This is a great collaboration by many attractions and organizations here in Manhattan. We are working hard for the whole entire year to have events that center around America 250. We know that that will be instrumental for the lives of the kids that come after us. So,
Thank you.
Did you
Can
wanna
we just
say-
quick go through? We've got the
Sure.
Discovery Center,
Riley County Historical Museum.
Sydney, elected official.
Yeah, I got the bill. I passed that. I passed
Yeah,
the bill
you're
on
right, she
this,
got the
yeah.
bill.
Museum of Art and Light.
Midwestern Car Collection,
Downtown Manhattan.
USD 383.
The Artificial Intelligence Learning Arena.
Aggieville Business Association.
Great, thank you. Thank you all for being here, and I think it will be a very exciting year. How do you say 250? I know, I finally got the
250.
Semi-quincentennial.
semi-quincentennial. Okay, you're responsible for knowing that.
And
Thank you.
this will be going in a, help me out,
Display.
No, time capsule.
Time capsule.
This will be going in
Oh.
the time capsule. So in 50 years, the next generation.
So where will
be-
this time capsule?
That's still to be decided.
TBD.
Yeah.
We're not
yes.
telling.
It's gonna be a treasure hunt.
Yeah.
Thank you all very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
The first meeting of the month, we always have public comments. Would anybody like to make a comment on something that's not on tonight's agenda? Or anything to get that off their chest?
My name is Roger Seymour,
Roger, I need your address too.
520 Pierre Street here in
Thank you.
Manhattan. I want to thank the commissioners, the outgoing commissioners. I didn't always agree with everything that they did, but I want to thank you for the work that you did. I specifically wanted to thank Commissioner John Mata. You've set an example that I hope future commissioners will follow. You voted to hold the line on spending while still taking into account the needs of the city and its residences. You've set the bar at a high level, John. To the point that conservatives like myself, the values that you have represent the values that a lot of us have. I'll miss your wisdom. I'll miss your point of view. I want to thank you again for your service.
Thank you. Roger, make sure you sign in. Right over here. No, with Chelsea. Thank you. Anyone else want to make a comment? Hearing none, I'll pass on to commissioner comments.
Something that's been discussed on the radio, it's been in the newspaper, online, and I think you're going to take it up in your legislative meeting tomorrow, has to do with property tax caps, specifically valuation caps. So I was going to touch a little on that. I'm going to segue, and I'm going to come back to that. As pretty public knowledge, me and my family are moving to Arizona soon, mainly for the weather, but also be close to family. One of the things is I've looked at homes there, and homes are more expensive in Arizona than they are in Kansas. And I was looking at some homes that were substantially more than the value of mine here in Manhattan. But to my surprise, the property taxes were about in half of what we pay here. And so I found that curious, and I talked to some of the people there. And one of the things I found out was they do have property tax caps there. Actually, 3 of them. One is the one that's being talked about here a lot, which is the cap on valuation. So there's a limit on how much your value can go up from a taxation purpose. They have what they call the limited property value. So they keep track of market, but they never let the appraisal go over 5% on that LPV, and that's what you pay your taxes on. Even if you sell your home, it doesn't change. The new person still gets the LPV on that. If you remodel, yeah, they're going to take that into account. The other cap they have is they limit the annual levy limit for counties, cities, school districts to 2% increase plus any new construction. So that kind of protects the community overall, and the individual cap kind of protects the individual residents. Then they have a 1% primary tax cap, which means that your valuation or your property taxes can't be more than 1% of your LPV, which is your limited property value, not even the market value of the home. It can't be more than 1% of that LPV. And actually, they give you a tax rebate for that. The local jurisdiction gets the money, and the state gives you a rebate for that. I don't think Kansas could do that. From my research, I don't think there's a single home in Kansas that doesn't pay more than 1% of the market value in property taxes at this point in time. Usually, I'm big in favor of home rule and would fight against a state mandate, so to speak, like this. But I think we're getting very uncompetitive in Kansas. If you have a home in Arizona, it can cost twice as much, you'll still pay less in taxes than you will here, which makes us very uncompetitive from a state standpoint and very uncompetitive from a city standpoint. So I think the legislature is going to be taking that up this year, and so I just think it's something to pay attention to. Thank you.
No, just welcome to 2026. Thanks to the Discovery Center for letting me let the balloons go on New Year's Eve. It was a packed house, and there were kids having so much fun. There's a new exhibit starting the 10th. Am I right on that? So get over to see it. It sounds like it'll be interesting. Next thing is the old business consent agenda. Questions on the consent agenda?
Yes, I have a question on item C. I mean, this is old business agenda, and this, to me, this appointment appears to be new business, so I don't really feel comfortable on voting on the new business.
As mayor, I have the right to appoint people until I stop being mayor, I thought. I mean, there was simply, didn't get to through the process in December.
I just think, you know, our terms are up. The minutes in the other, the register or something that was from when we were still in office. This is something new. So, to me, it's new business.
Well, we can put it back on the agenda for the,
Yeah. That's all I mean, is just move it to the new.
I had a question on the claims register. I saw that the income from the tapes, from the admissions at the zoo goes into the Zoo Foundation, whereas the income from the Discovery Center gate, so to speak, goes into the general fund. Why do we do that way?
Evening, Mayor and Commissioners. Aaron Stewart, Parks and Rec Director. So the zoo memberships, not admissions, do go towards the Friends of Sunset Zoo. And that is then in turn used, reinvested in both conservation efforts that are required by AZA for the zoo, as well as travel and training that are required for AZA. So even though it does go into that fund, it is returned through trainings and conservation efforts that are a requirement of our accreditation. The Discovery Center does not have that same Friends type group set up, so it does go into the general fund. All admissions from the zoo do go into the Special Sunset Zoo Fund, which is an outside revenue fund. But it's a city fund.
There are the Friends of the Discovery Center.
There is a foundation for the Discovery Center, just like there is a trust for the zoo, and those two are very similar in their operations, which is primarily focused on capital reinvestment.
So the Friends of the Zoo is just an additional group?
Correct.
Okay, thank you.
Yep.
Do I hear a motion to approve the consent agenda?
Move to approve the old business consent agenda.
Second.
Okay, is that meaning just items A and B?
Yeah, so if the commission agrees that appointments should be removed from the consent agenda, the motion would need to be amended to remove item C from the consent agenda.
Okay, then I'll move to approve the old business consent agenda, items A and B.
And I will second.
Chelsea, would you call the roll, please?
Commissioner Adamchak,
Yes.
Commissioner Opelt,
Yes.
Commissioner Motta,
Yes.
Mayor McCullough.
Yes.
Motion carries 4-0.
Next item is reorganization. Comments from the outgoing mayor. I write these things in my head, and then when I try and get them written down, can't remember how beautifully I said them the night before. They do say the third time is a charm, So first, I have to thank the citizens of Manhattan who are willing to support me for yet another term. But when you're asked to identify the highs and lows of being a mayor, the mayor job is really just representing the city at ribbon cuttings and welcomings and letting balloons down on New Year's Eve. The 5 commissioners really are the people who make decisions and see that things work out. Our commission had 3 brand-new people this year. Susan, who stepped up and into the mayor job so very well. I mean, she'd only been a commissioner 4 months when she was asked to take on that responsibility. And Peter and Jamie brought new insights and great enthusiasm and a lot of, I think, fresh air into the commission. And if we add to that, we had a new city manager in addition in the mix. And then, of course, there's the support that the mayor has and the other commissioners have of our really excellent staff. We are so lucky to have them. So I'm pleased that we did a number of positive things. We proceeded with the Highway 24 plan, doing that in-house. We did the Manhattan Parks and Recreation Plan and the complementary plan that was done by the Chamber of Commerce. We kept the budget almost flat, but we were still able to give the staff a COLA. And we were able to create housing and also work out some of the kinks for new housing next year, seeing how the various programs might work and what we can do. I believe in local government. I think it's very, very important. I've served at 2 levels. I think it's the one place where people can really make a difference and their voice will be heard. I think right now, with the situation at the state and the federal, many of us feel that we are sort of, we've lost our empowerment. But at the city level, I hope people will feel that they can be heard and what they say will be taken into a positive program. Thank you. Commissioners Opelt and Mata, who wants to go first? Mata will be.
Okay, I'd like to, got a few thank yous to go through here. First off, want to thank the supporters I've had through numerous elections, whether it was financial, whether it was putting up signs or walking door to door. There was new people each time, but then there was people that every single time they were there and helped out. And I know it took time out of their day, took money out of their pocket, and I really do appreciate the support. And I hope I, was consistent and represented what I said I was going to represent. I said it when I stepped off the commission the first time some time ago. It was very important to me to be consistent, that I wanted people who voted for me to be able, 9 times out of 10, know how Mata was going to vote. And I believe I've done that and hope that I've done that. I'd also like to thank city staff and wish them well. Manhattan is a great community and you're a big part of it. I know I've been one of the more critical and challenging commissioners, but frankly, to only being told you're great is a bit patronizing. True professionals appreciate being challenged and pushed to stretch capabilities, and you are true professionals. I also want to thank the other city commissioners, past and present, that I have served with. We all have wanted what is best for Manhattan. We may have had passionate disagreements, but it was nothing personal. I had very open objectives I wanted to achieve and used the leverage I had to achieve them. Being outnumbered 4-1 most recently, my leverage was minimal. But I hoped my arguments would set the stage for future improvements, and it was gratifying to see those views gain prominence during this past election. The last thank you to my family and my wife, Karen, who have supported me throughout the 8 years on the commission, put up with me being gone or working on commission stuff, whether that be directly with the city commission or with the law board or the housing authority or whatever it was, having them take off on vacation, me meeting them there because I had other commitments I needed to get to. I really do appreciate, love you, Karen. So next, I'm going to go on for a little bit. I'm going to speak to our new commissioners. I'm going to give them some advice. You don't have to do anything with it, but I kind of have the floor, so you're going to have to listen to me here for a bit to go on. One person I'll call in particular, Andrew. Now, Andrew, you're the youngest person on the commission, so you have particular responsibility to make sure these other folks kind of understand the new way of doing things and all that type of stuff. And you know what? If I'd have ran, I think I'd have beat you. Then I would have been the youngest person on the city commission. So you're taking my spot on that one. So anyway, my advice. Rules for radical city commissioners. Rule 1, buck tradition. Tradition has been the top 2 vote getters rotate in vote total order as mayor behind the same sequence of the incumbents from the prior election. This often leads to a mayor that is not in alignment with the majority of the commission. The mayor is mostly ceremonial position, but they do appoint to the boards and they do run the meeting. And when you think about it, that rotation means you rotate in as mayors after the next election. So you're going to have 3 new commissioners, or 1 may hold over. So there's a lot of misalignment that you can have happen. It can be cumbersome and distracting to have the mayor who's not in alignment with the commission run the meetings and steer the topic a different direction. The other things, when it comes to boards, a lot of those boards have serious financial or policy decisions that they make. And you should have a mayor that's in alignment with that. Also, this is a good time to buck tradition. Because of resignations, those 2 top vote getters have already had a chance to be mayor. So they really wouldn't be taking anything away from, what quote unquote they thought was going to happen during the election. And it would also set the precedent so the future people running would know that, hey, we don't necessarily follow that anymore. I really think a commission should elect the mayor they want, not one that's dictated by tradition. The next is challenge authority, Rule 2. By this, I mean, if you are told you can't do something or have to do something a certain way by city staff, state, or federal officials, ask for the specific reasons why and verify the answer. If it's strictly a city matter, make sure the reason why isn't something passed by a prior commission that you can actually change. For example, except for the law board, which is set by state statute, the commission can only vote down the mayor's board recommendations and then wait for another mayor's recommendation. The commission can't reject the mayor's recommendation, nominate someone else, and put them into the board. But you can change that rule, and I recommend that you do. When it comes to state or federal officials, make sure if they tell you something that has to be done a certain way, that they ask them what the regulation or statute is that says that's the way it has to be done. I have had on occasion done that, and then after repeated requests over a long period of time and having to call and send emails, have found out, guess what? There is no statute, there is no regulation. That was just the preference of that official. So always ask the question. Rule 3, if you have votes, use them and use them quickly. You won't necessarily have those votes forever. Long term, you have 3 that kind of ran as a block. You'll have those 3 votes. 2 years, you may not. When I was first on the commission, we made a decision to take the health department, which was a combined city-county health department, which was an elected board, and usually that's all under the county. We felt it would be better to have that run by elected officials versus appointed board, so we moved to send that back to the county. Karen was a county commissioner during that time. And I remember she asked me, well, we really don't mind taking it, but can you wait a year to give us some time? I said, unfortunately, we can't, because that's a charter ordinance, and it takes 4 votes in a year. I don't know if we'll have 4 votes. So you need to do it. The other thing is, when you vote on the budget, you'll have a series of votes. And if you vote a number for the budget, you can always take it down, but you can't take it up. You'll have a lot of pressure on you not to vote for a lower number, because they'll keep telling you, you can always take that number down. The law board works the same way with their budget. If you vote one number in, and you can take it down, but you can't take it up. A couple of years ago, we had a pretty slim police department budget. We had a 4-3 vote in hand. Unfortunate situation happened. A commissioner resigned. That commissioner happened to be on the law board, so we got a different law board commissioner, and that vote flipped. And we lost that and ended up with a much larger police department budget. So if you have something you really have convictions on, if you have the votes, move on it. Be decisive. The next, own the boards. A lot of the boards have big financial impact or policy impacts that have to do with them. The biggest one is the law board. Over half of the property taxes are from the police department budget. So who you appoint there, in my view, always was, if you appointed them, you own them. If they voted for a budget you thought was too high, it's kind of on you. You appointed those folks to do it. A big frustration of mine with commissioners we've had, and it's not just one, it's most of the commissioners we've had on the law board, would vote for a high police department budget, then come back to the city commission meeting and say, well, not much we can do, the law board did this budget, we have to live with it. It's like, no, you could have voted against that if you didn't want it. You have others out there that have big, can potentially have big impact. Actually, Historic Resources Board can. You need to make sure you get experts on that board that take into account historical significance, but you also need to make sure they take into account community need. You want experts, but not necessarily activists who, put the community second over questionable historic items. The next, Rule 5, one of my favorites, is find a way, which is basically the only advice an old boss would give me when he stuck me with an extremely difficult budget challenge. You have a choice on the budget. You'll be told your only choice is to cut services and ask what services you recommend to cut. But that's not true. There is something known as efficiencies, as well as innovation. There is cost recovery, which is sponsorships and naming rights and user fees. There's philanthropic strategies. There's also reprioritization of revenue streams, such as transient guest tax, which I know you've talked about during the campaign, or repurposing expiring capital investment sales taxes into operating budget support. The thing is, it really isn't your job to come up with all the answers to get to what you believe is a reasonable tax increase. It's your job to tell city staff to find a way and let them know that you mean it. To staff's credit, they proposed a lower budget this past year than the commission finally passed. Instead of telling staff to find a way to build in the staff increases, which was what the commission was concerned about, was that budget didn't have staff increases in it. Instead of telling them to find a way to work that into that lower number, they felt they had no choice and all they could do was go with the higher number. You do have a choice. Rule 6, don't gaslight on property taxes. Over the past couple of years, a large portion of the property tax increase was blamed on RCPD. This increase far exceeded the RCPD city allocation budget increase. The city diverted other revenue streams that had paid for RCPD services to other city spending. This disparity eroded trust in the process. I recommend settling on the exact services that property taxes are going to pay for and keep those permanent. For example, police and fire, possibly something else. Then the public will know exactly what property taxes are being used for and then keep it consistent from year to year. This can be done without taking an initial big hit on the property tax line. And the other thing, if you ever really need to increase property taxes for those items, I think you'll get more support because people will know that's exactly what it's being used for. And if it's critical services, they'll understand that. Also, don't be snookered by talk about delinquency rates. The city has had to deal with delinquencies related to RCPD for half a century. Last thing, and Rule 7, maybe the most important, is don't take things personal. When I first got on the commission, the first year we had a big budget debate. I remember the Mercury came out with cartoons of all the commissioners. I was Count Dracula in that one, and it kind of said, "I want to cut your funds," in the thing, and I thought it was pretty funny, actually. But the deal is, you're going to upset a lot of people. In any contentious issue, half are going to agree with you, half aren't, and so folks are going to be upset. Unfortunately, I've been demonized, called names, and threatened on social media, phone, and in person. It's sad, but it happens. The other thing is to be able to debate things with staff and other commissioners without taking offense. I grew up in a very aggressive corporate environment. We used to have big arguments. We used to swear at each other and everything else. But then we'd go out to lunch or go out to happy hour and have a good time. It seems like folks have a hard time doing that these days, but frankly, that's just something you're going to have to deal with. So that's it. Good luck, and I appreciate you guys serving on the commission.
Serving Manhattan on this commission has been one of the greatest honors of my entire life. Learned a lot of lessons, both through success and through failure. We weren't afraid to try new things and have difficult conversations up here. I've met some of the coolest people and saw this community in ways I never would have otherwise. It has just been a pleasure. I want to start by thanking Danielle and Jason for their guidance and wisdom and patience with all of us as we work through some difficult challenges. Last year was a whirlwind, and I think we did things very well. I want to thank the city staff. You all show your dedication every day, and it is very clear that every single one of you wants to work for the best, or to make Manhattan better every day, and we are better for you. I want to thank all the other commissioners for their service to our community, and for being willing to have hard conversations and challenge each other. I want to obviously thank my wife Tiffany and my son Finn for putting up with me spending all my time talking and thinking about city commission stuff. I wouldn't have been able to do it without you, and you mean the world to me. And finally, I want to thank the people in Manhattan for taking a chance and letting me serve you. I have absolutely loved serving everyone and meeting new neighbors, having conversations with them. Coffee with the commissioner was one of my favorite parts of being on this commission, and thanks for everybody that showed up to those and had those really deep conversations. I wish I had done better to earn another term, but I'll take what I learned forward with me. I want to say good luck to the new commissioners. There are a lot of hard decisions that are going to come in front of you, and just remember that you represent all 54,000 of us. You are our representatives here on this body. I want to encourage you to show up, not just Tuesday nights, but make yourself visible in the community. Go to events and talk to people that you don't know. I want you to ask questions, even if people think you're going to be too annoying. Be curious and have an open mind and open heart. My wife reminded me that leadership is a choice and not just a position, and so I'm not done serving Manhattan. I'm looking forward to fostering a lot of the relationships that I've made in this 2 years and finding new ways to serve Manhattan. Thank you.
Madam Mayor, I would like to ask the newly elected commissioners to come forward and meet me in front of the commission table. Oh, after Danielle presents gifts. Please raise your right hand and repeat after me. I do solemnly swear that I will support the Constitution of the United States, the Constitution of the State of Kansas, and the Code of Ordinances of the City of Manhattan, and faithfully discharge the duties of City Commissioner for the City of Manhattan. So help me God. Congratulations. I would like to ask the commission for nominations for mayor.
I'd like to nominate Susan Adamczyk for mayor of Manhattan.
Is there a second? Hearing no other nominations for mayor, I will now call the roll. Commissioner Fox?
Yes.
Commissioner Morrison?
Yes.
Commissioner Von Lintel?
Aye.
Mayor McCullough?
Yes.
Commissioner Adamczyk?
Yes.
Motion carries 5-0.
Thank you very much, Chelsea. I would like to now ask the Commission for nominations for Mayor Pro Tem. I move that Commissioner Karen McCullough be appointed to serve as Mayor Pro Tem until the first working Tuesday of January 2027. Is there a second?
I'll second that.
Thank you. Chelsea, would you call the roll, please?
Commissioner Morrison?
Yes.
Commissioner Von Lintel?
Aye.
Mayor McCullough?
Yes.
Or Commissioner McCullough? Commissioner
Yes.
Commissioner Fox?
Yes.
Motion carries 5-0.
Musical chairs here.
Yeah. Thank you, Chelsea.
I'm sorry, I left him up. Thanks. Look at you guys.
Okay.
Oh, you have to be installed.
Yeah.
Oh,
Are there any commissioner comments on the reorganization?
So I just want to take this opportunity to thank my family, particularly my wife Marilyn, for supporting me through this effort. My daughter Bethany, her husband Luke, and my grandson Cooper for being here tonight to see this occasion.
Momentous occasion.
Yes, I want to thank all of my supporters that voted me into this position. I hope that I can meet up to their expectations. And finally, I want to thank Peter and John for their service, particularly John for your comments about how we should move forward. I will certainly keep all of those in mind. But thank you. I hope to meet the expectations of at least the majority of our citizens with each decision. So thank you.
First of all, I thank John, Peter, and Jamie Allaby for their service. They probably would have liked to have more time to serve. I'm satisfied that the public has made a good decision to go forward, and I think that'll be part of that. To me, in the indoctrination that we have gotten, and I use the word kindly about indoctrination of how the city does things, what they do, and why they do it, has been helpful. Obviously, as mentioned by both John and Peter, there are new challenges ahead. And truthfully, they are not going to be a circus and a party. There are going to be some hard decisions. And whether we make it a 50-50 satisfaction ratio or better, time will tell. But there have to be improvements, changes, and additions. So I look forward to it. And again, thank you to those who thought they had enough faith in me to be here.
Good evening, good people of Manhattan. I want to thank all the voters, everybody that came out, everybody that voted for Peter, everybody that voted for Amber, everybody that voted for me. It's important to vote. It's important to get out. It's important to take the city seriously. We have a big opportunity. It's not one to be taken lightly. We can improve this city. I think this city can be the best city in Kansas, and I think that we have the people here that we can do that. But we've got to be taking it seriously. We've got to move forward. Be patient with me. I'll get mad at times. It's going to happen. But you know, we're going to talk it out. We're going to work through it things. There's a lot of good things that are going on in this city. There's a lot of bad things going on in this city. There's, you know, we got to be worried about what's going on in Yuma and Northview and Miller Ranch and everywhere in between. And I hope that we listen and that we take public comments seriously. If people show up to city commission and they want to talk, I hope we're listening. And I don't think that happened, especially in the last 6 months at times. So I hopefully we're going to do better. And I just I'm excited to be here. I'm thankful. You know, it's got my business cards here, so we're getting ready to roll. Thank you.
I did not prepare any formal remarks for this evening. I too would like to thank the outgoing commissioners, Jamie Minton, Peter Oppelt, and John Mata. In particular, I very much did enjoy working with both Peter and Jamie. They brought fresh perspectives. They brought a lot of good experience. They asked tough questions. All of the department heads who are sitting in this room know that they were the frequent recipients of questions and asks for clarification. And I look forward to working with the new commissioners as we try to achieve common goals for the betterment of Manhattan. I plan to emulate Commissioner Oppelt and continue coffee with the commissioner. Maybe it'll be mocha with the mayor, but we will continue having monthly meetings, monthly meet-ups as an opportunity for community engagement. I would take issue with one comment already that Commissioner Von Lintel has made. Please know that, I'm speaking for myself, we do listen when people come and make public comment. We may not always agree with what you have said. We may not always act on your point of view, but you are heard. We are listening to you. And I hope people will try to understand that we are sifting tons of information when we are making decisions. None of us sit up here and make decisions lightly. We make these with consideration, with long timelines, oftentimes longer than people realize. Please know that we would love to see a more engaged community. We will, throughout this year, we will have more opportunities. We hope to present more opportunities for civic engagement. Please know that you are heard and listened to. And now let's move on with the rest of this party. Okay. So, we will now consider the new business consent agenda. Items on the consent agenda are those of a routine and housekeeping nature, or those items which have been previously reviewed by the City Commission. The Commissioner may request an item be moved for separate discussion and consideration immediately following the consent agenda, or at a different point in time on the agenda if desired by the Commission. With our removal from the old business agenda, we now have 4 items on the new business consent agenda, the 4th being the approval for the appointment of Rex Fowles to the Cemetery Board. Are there any questions or comments from the commissioners on the new business consent agenda? No?
I mean, really didn't look into Rex Foles' resume, but, I mean, I've met him before. I'm comfortable with him being on the cemetery board.
Anyone else? May I have a motion to approve the new business consent agenda? Oh, sorry. Is there anyone in the public who would like to address the new business agenda? All right, seeing no one coming forward to make comment, is there a motion to approve?
I move that we approve the new business consent agenda.
Second?
Chelsea, would you call the roll, please?
Commissioner Von Lintel? Yes.
Yes.
Mayor Adamchak?
Yes.
Commissioner McCullough?
Yes.
Commissioner Fox?
Yes.
Commissioner Morrison?
Yes.
Motion carries 5-0.
Thank you. We will now move forward with the general agenda. The first item is to consider an agreement with the Pepsi-Cola Bottling Company of Marysville, doing business as Pepsi-Cola of Manhattan, Kansas. Director Stewart will be making a presentation of the item.
I'll say it again since it's a new commission. Good evening, Mayor and Commissioners. This item before you is a agreement under a sole source procurement. Pepsi has been our beverage supply vendor for several years, 15 plus. For those that aren't aware, we brought concessions back in-house last year. That is still kind of a new business development for us. It had been a concessionaire supplying that service for 20 plus years before that. So for us, just from a standpoint of continuing service and to continue and improve, we would seek this out. But also, Pepsi has also agreed to name a field. Obviously, they would like an exclusive agreement because if they're going to name a field Gatorade Field, they would not want Coke products served out of the concession stand, so that would be counterproductive for them in their minds. So there is an agreement for naming the baseball field at Steel and Pipe Supply ball fields that is contingent on the approval of this. part of the agreement is we'll receive a $4,000 annual contribution back to our department, and we are anticipating an average of about $35,000 a year spent with them. Again, that's a purchase price. We're obviously selling it for more than that, so we easily recoup these costs. Any questions?
Commissioners, any questions for Director Stewart?
Well, since I'm new to the game, we pay $36,000 for the service. What do we intend to reap from the benefits of the concessionaire?
So generally, especially with beverage products, we're probably recouping at least at 100%, if not 125, 150%, depending.
Break even.
Oh, we profit.
Okay.
Yeah, so we're making 100 to 150% above what our purchase price is. That really depends on the product that we're selling. You can sell certain products for more than you can others, so that's an average is probably about 100% markup.
Aaron, so is this contract, because I'm really concerned about the costs of canning or bottling or whatever you call it, in that the Trump tariffs are really shooting the price of aluminum way up, and I've read that Pepsi and Coke are really having difficulties with their profit margin. So what have we written down here in a contract? I mean, we promised to buy this much, or does that equal that many?
Yeah, so in the agreement, there talks about quantities that we are anticipated to purchase. This is all based on data that we've used over time, and it's really kind of locked in a pricing structure for the next 5 years. So, well, generally speaking, we're not buying a lot of cans. We're buying mainly plastic bottles. So I don't know that we've noticed that. And in fact, what we've noticed since we've taken over concessions is because our volume has increased in our sales so much, we're actually getting better rates for our per product purchase because we're moving more product.
Anything else, commissioners? Okay, thank you, Aaron. Is there anyone from the public who would like to speak to this issue? Seeing no one, public comment is now closed. Any remaining questions for staff? Okay. Do you have a question? Okay. Is there a motion from the commission?
So I would move to authorize the mayor and the clerk to execute a 5-year agreement with Pepsi-Cola Bottling Company of Marysville Incorporated, DBA Pepsi-Cola of Manhattan, Kansas, to provide soft drink and beverage products for city parks and recreation concession stands.
Thank you. Is there a second?
Second?
Thank you. Chelsea?
Mayor Adamchak,
Yes.
Commissioner McCullough,
Yes.
Commissioner Fox,
Yes.
Commissioner Morrison,
Yes.
Commissioner Von Lintel.
Yes.
Motion carries 5-0.
Thank you. We will now move on to the next item on the agenda. Considering dissolving the Frederick Douglass Recreation Complex Advisory Board and amending the bylaws for Parks and Recreation Advisory Board. Director Stewart, welcome back to the podium.
Thank you. So the Frederick, just a little background on this, this board. The Frederick Douglass Recreation Complex Advisory Board, I'm going to call that the Douglass Board for short. The Douglass Board was originally a policy board and became an advisory board in 1970. It typically has represented the historically black neighborhood around the Douglass Center, Yuma Street, Ward 1, that we'll kind of go over. The Douglass Activity Complex is now organized under the Parks and Rec Department and is a piece of our Recreation Division. Our Park and Rec Advisory Board was also originally a policy board back when Recreation was a commission. They became an advisory board in 1982. It is a 7-member board with a requirement of 2 members from USD 383. That is a holdover, and it's statutorily required when you merged a joint recreation or school recreation board into a department advisory board. So We do currently have 2 members from USD 383. In fact, we'll be getting some new nominations for one of them this month as their term is up. Christine Wexelman will be doing her final meeting this month, and then we'll get a new member. So the Douglas Board recommended dissolving due to the following, which is they were really kind of felt like they achieved their mission with the construction of the Douglas Activity Center. The cultural center that's going in right beside it, they felt was picking up a lot of the mission that they formerly served. They had a chronic difficulty of achieving quorum. There were several meetings that did not receive quorum, and so much so they actually removed the requirement for the location for board appointments to best faith efforts, and we'll get into that language here in a minute. So had a lot of challenges recruiting members out of those areas. So Park Board was a suggested expansion to keep representation from that district, or at least the good faith effort from that district, which is Ward 1, Precinct 1, in order to dissolve the board, but yet maintain that representation that has historically been there and from that particular area. This is obviously consistent with how we dissolved the policy board from the Rec Commission, so that's where it was kind of generated as past precedent of putting 2 members dedicated onto the Park Board. The Douglas Board did vote 4-2 for dissolution. I did include those minutes in there so you can see the comments there. They recommended, if they were going to do this, to add 2 members to the Park Board. So the vote was based on that additional Park Board representation. The Park Board members had mixed perspectives on this, in including the geographic representation. There was a big discussion, and again, those minutes are included, so I don't necessarily want to go through verbatim, but about whether the bylaws should specifically reference Ward 1, Precinct 1. So there were 2 motions that happened. One recommended the structured as the proposed item, which was add the 2 members. Again, it went 3-3, so no action was taken. One recommended this broader geographic region, like we should kind of split up the city and have geographic representation. But again, that ended in a 3-3 tie and so Park Board has no formal recommendation on this. So benefits of this consolidation, again, it streamlines that advisory function into a single board. It continues to have that representation though, so that's not lost in the new board. It does reduce the administrative burden and resources, because again, doing 2 meetings a month versus 1 meeting a month, it's way easier to do 1. And it aligns with the department and organizational structure and operational needs. So, happy to answer any questions.
So what geographical areas did they suggest? Did they have any ideas or just a general?
Just a general. The area that came up was Northview, having representation out of Northview. And part of what the language states in the bylaws, it both had to be amended in the Douglas Board bylaws, and we are putting, if this was approved, that are in the bylaw, the draft bylaws that are written, is we are making a good faith effort to pull somebody from that area. However, it's no longer a requirement, because the requirement, they couldn't get representation, they couldn't hold a meeting. So the more restrictions you put on that, again, that makes it more difficult to find representation and put people in there. This is really, the reason this is called out is that representation for that area, because we are taking what was once eventually a policy board and maintaining that representation that has been there historically for Manhattan.
And so it was both positions were for Ward 1?
Mm-hmm. Ward 1, Precinct 1.
So
and currently we have a person serving that satisfies that requirement. So we would be looking for 1 in the future. Or, I mean, you can always have more, but.
was there talk about looking at it kind of a completely fresh new perspective, since it's kind of making the board new? I mean, one thing I would ask is, how helpful is the USD 383 members to the board? Is that something that they want to do? Is that something good for us? as a city?
So far, that their position is that they want to serve, and it's statutorily required by the state because of that merger.
Any other questions for Aaron? Seems to me that it makes sense to streamline given that the Douglas Center Board itself voted for dissolution. They recognized that mission accomplished. I also value the ongoing effort to include representation from that community. I would just remind the other commissioners that there are other positions on the board that are available, well, not at this moment, but that are available for appointment, and anyone from Northview or any other neighborhood in Manhattan is certainly eligible to apply for those positions as they are open.
I talked to a number of the people on the board, and I do understand the problem of trying to have people and not have a quorum, because we've had several boards that have not had quorums this year. And as mayor and past mayor, it is difficult to find people from Ward 1. However, I think the Douglas Center, I hate to see them not have a voice, a real voice that's their own voice, not just part of the Park and Rec boards. And I also don't really see the necessity of having almost a third of the Park and Rec board be from that area. I mean, it seems to me that the Park and Rec board has a lot of area to cover, and to make such a giant membership from one area, I'd really like to see it stay the way it is, and perhaps the Douglas Center Board only meets quarterly. Or, you know, and we really, as commissioners, work hard to find people who will get their quarterly. You know, if they're not showing up for that board, I don't want them not showing up for the Park and Rec Board. And believe me, I know, and Susan can second me, it's hard to find people to serve on all boards, but particularly the Douglas Center is one of them, and you have to really kind of campaign a little bit. So I just, you know, and I'm hearing this staff time. I mean, the staff that meets with most of our boards are salaried, and they're supposed to, you know, expect occasionally to do a little overtime. I don't really see why we don't have more effort from staff to get people to some of these meetings. I talked to a number of people on boards that weren't sure who was setting the agenda and what should be talked about at the boards and that kind of thing. So I guess I'm for status quo, but I can understand, and you're right, there were people on the board who supported that.
Was there any talk about downsizing the board? So maybe it was easier to get a quorum that way?
So it was a 5-member board. We would need to downsize to 3. I mean, no is the answer. Like, that wasn't talked about. That wasn't talked about. So I would suggest, based on our actual meetings served, we maybe only actually met quarterly. That particular board took the summers off too. I think last year we had quorum for maybe 5 meetings.
The quorum couldn't have been 5 if.
No, sorry. Last year, we actually, out of the 9 meetings we were supposed to have, I think we had quorum for 5 of them. Don't hold me to that number.
I do think you could have fewer meetings, for heaven's sakes. You don't really, you know, until an issue came up. I mean, there were some things with the statues that went in, the sculptures that went in, and so there were some various meetings with the community art board and that kind of thing, and I can see that, you know, that took a little more time. I just hate to see them not have a voice that is their voice, that area, and not just be part of you know, the city park system, so to speak. And I really think the city park system doesn't need that much advice from their board.
Thank you, Aaron.
Okay.
Is there any public comment on this item?
Amber Starling, 408 Houston Street. I do want to acknowledge that we have 3 new commissioners here tonight, and they are inheriting a lot of really good things from the former commission, but some issues to navigate. One of those is kind of an issue with trust in the government. Within the context, and it's fair to remind you of this context, we're kind of seeing lower input from the community in their government. Last year, the second reading of ordinances went out, and although tabling was recommended as a way to kind of get the public back involved, it wasn't used very much last year. The reduction of public comments to 3 minutes with a max of 10 speakers was also something that came up. We are talking about consolidating boards, and so that can be a very tricky project when you're dealing with that greater context. This is something specific. This is the consensual reorganization of a board and taking those 2 members to put into another part of the government where they can still have that voice. I think that is very reasonable. However, if the board wants to, or if the commission wants to continue consolidating boards, that would very quickly become a problem. Thank you.
Thank you, Amber.
Good evening, Mel Boris, 1918 Humboldt Street. And I appreciate this discussion and also appreciate the comments that Mayor McCullough, Commissioner McCullough made, as well as Amber, about the topic here. Thank you.
Is there anyone else who would like to make a remark? All right, seeing no one else approaching, we will close public comment on this item. Commissioners, do we have a motion to consider dissolving the Frederick Douglass Recreation Complex Advisory Board?
Second.
No,
No.
you have to make the, somebody has to make the
I have to
motion.
I'll make the motion as stated by the
Actually,
mayor.
So,
We might want to have a little discussion.
yeah, I think we need to have discussion.
You don't do that till after you have a motion.
So,
It's fine to have discussion now. We can ask questions of the presenter and have some discussion then. And then we can also, once the public has their say, talk to each other.
so
So go
It would
ahead.
be my recommendation, since there's already a motion on the floor, to have a second and then proceed with discussion.
Do we have a motion?
I don't believe we had a motion made yet.
Sorry. Commissioner Morrison, were you making a motion?
I thought I did, and I didn't write it down succinctly like the mayor stated it. And so by adoption, I said that was my motion,
I
and I so move.
Thank you.
I second.
All right. Andrew?
No, we can't. We have to vote now.
No, I think we can have.
Now you can have discussion.
Okay.
so I'm in favor of the consolidation of these 2 particular boards. My only reservation is limiting or, encouraging 2 representatives from Ward 1, mostly because it's 1,289 registered voters in a large city. So even if we just made it 1, I would be more on board with that, but I just think 2 is not very, I wouldn't do that.
Karen, anything else?
No, I just, I think we probably won't end up with any representatives because it's just if we can find people, that's how we left it. And I do think the Douglas Center deserves, and that area deserve a voice. And I think rightly so, we have lost some trust in this commission, in some of the decisions that were made last year. People did not feel that they'd been heard properly. And I think we need to rebuild that. I don't think that was true, but that was kind of the impression that some of the older neighborhoods came away with. So, I don't understand what this mad dash to consolidate, we did away with the bicycle committee, for example, and I don't know who besides that group had really any expertise on, I couldn't tell you what to do with bicycles. I think, to me, we need to involve more people in what we're doing, and the boards are one way to extend our voices out to the public.
Aaron, would you mind coming back one more time? Can you give us any further insight into the recommendation to have 2 members from this neighborhood on the
Yeah,
board?
so number one is one member would make an 8-member board, and you don't want an even number for your board. Again, that representation, to put it in perspective, was represented by 5 people in that area. We are reducing that to 2 out of 9. And they'll weigh in on more than just that area. Right now, we've got heavier representation from different various areas of the community because there is no requirement. So I do think, yes, it takes work, but there's opportunities to get people presented, to mayors and commissioners that are from that area. Again, to satisfy the requirement right now, we would need 1. So we already have 1 from that area.
Thank you. Chelsea, we have a motion and a second on, to consider dissolving the Frederick Douglass Recreation Complex Advisory Board and amending the bylaws for Parks and Recreation Advisory Board. Can you please call the roll?
Commissioner McCullough,
No.
Commissioner Fox,
Yes.
Commissioner Morrison,
Yes.
Commissioner Von Lintel,
No.
Mayor Adam Chack.
Yes.
Motion carries 3-2.
Thank you. We will now consider the purchase of a 2026 service/mechanic truck for Public Works.
Public Utilities.
Sorry.
All right, thank you, Mayor, Commissioners. I have one presentation for these 2 considerations for vehicle and equipment purchases. So I'll run through this first item, as you mentioned, for the wastewater plant service truck. Just some background, this is a vehicle that is utilized at the wastewater treatment plant. It's replacing an existing vehicle that consists of just a standard bed truck or a standard cab truck, pickup truck, 3/4 ton. Several years ago, our staff approached administration requesting that when we replace this vehicle, it be replaced with more of a multi-purpose type of piece of equipment that they can utilize in the field as more than just a truck for transportation purposes. So they requested a utility bed on this vehicle as well as a small crane to help them with the various maintenance projects that they do. You can see here that the budget for this purchase was approximately $110,000. This was actually a 2024 budgeted vehicle. For various reasons, we were not able to go through the procurement process until now. It combines funding for 2 vehicles for the wastewater plant. The other one would have been a superintendent vehicle. It's an SUV that was due for replacement this past year. And when we went to solicit bids for that, we made the decision between management and administration that we weren't going to replace that vehicle. That particular position did not require a dedicated vehicle, and so we opted to just utilize those funds elsewhere. that vehicle's still in the fleet. It still gets utilized, it's just not gonna be replaced, and we won't utilize those funds for the replacement of that vehicle. So, well, just a little bit more background on what this will get used for. Primarily, in satellite facilities, lift stations, and at the wastewater treatment plant. We have a lot of equipment that we do heavy lifting. Sometimes there's manual lifting devices, so this equipment would be used to make that process a little more safe for employees, a little more efficient. So that was one of the primary reasons for that recommendation from staff. We did bid this vehicle and with a base bid and an alternate bid for the crane. So the base bid was the chassis, utility bed, and then the alternate bid was for a crane, so that we could analyze that. If the bids came in over budget, we would probably put off with the crane and look at procuring it in the future. But fortunately, it came in within budget, so we're recommending that we make the purchase with the crane. Lowest responsive bid, meeting specs, was also the low bid from Master Truck and Equipment in Park City, Kansas. Again, this is a cash purchase. And going back to the existing vehicle, it's scheduled to be disposed of at Purple Wave via auction. So the proceeds of that sale generally come back into the city's budget as general revenue. So it doesn't go specifically to offset the cost of this vehicle. So that's the basic information that I have for this. We can go through the process if you have questions and finish this item. I can move forward with the next item procedurally.
Let's do that, please.
Okay. Is that okay? Okay. All right, so the next item would be a replacement of an existing Unit 1155 combo sewer cleaner. This is a large piece of equipment that we utilize in our sewer maintenance division. It's a very critical piece of equipment that we use. Serves many purposes. It's utilized for primarily removing debris out of manholes, lift stations. It gets utilized by other divisions when needed, other departments. We use it frequently to assist those departments. We use it frequently to assist other communities when needed. We use it to do a lot of hydro excavating of utilities that is really prohibitive for us to do traditional excavation because of the presence of a substantial amount of utilities, private utilities on top of our infrastructure, such as communications fiber. So it makes that excavation process a lot more safe. As you can see, the budget for this purchase was $550,000. That was developed several years ago when we had our vehicle equipment replacement fund. As you can see from the information I provide here, the lowest responsive bid meeting the specifications was slightly over that, but we're sitting in a good position with the wastewater fund, so that's not too much of a concern for us. We did note that there were 3 bids that were lower than that, but those 3 bid vehicles did not meet our specifications, and provided an inter-office memorandum in the packet that explained a lot of that, the reasonings why. If you want me to go into that, we can. I'll probably just end up reading verbatim from that memo. But you can see here the lowest responsive bid meeting specifications was from Wright Equipment in Independence, Missouri. I noticed that they're actually here, so if you have any really important questions about the specifics of these machines, they're the expert. But it's a 2025 VACCON with a Freightliner chassis. We did benefit on this purchase, I'm assuming, by the fact that we are a Sourcewell membership. That's basically a national program that puts together bids for common equipment that's used by municipalities and construction companies to provide discounts or just predetermined lower bid amounts. I know from fact seeing other quotes for similar equipment within the past year, that's a substantially lower price than what we've seen. So in my opinion, we are seeing substantial benefits from that membership. The financing, this is a cash purchase. When this was originally budgeted, we looked at it as being a lease purchase, which in the past we would traditionally do with some of these larger equipments. But earlier this year, management and staff made a decision that we were not going to be doing lease purchases anymore. So the 2025 budget included ample funds for a down payment for that. But since we're sitting in a really good position with the wastewater fund, we are more than capable of proceeding with this as a cash purchase. There's a lot of other information I can share with you, but that's the basics. Commissioner Von Lintel, I know you had a lot of questions. I replied to those by email, but I can certainly get into more of those answers that you're expecting to see here if you want. But I'll leave it up to questions to the commission on both of these items, and then you can move forward.
Randy, just a couple questions. I don't see either of these on the 5-year CIP.
Sure. So I would say that's probably because we made a change in how we, in CIP in the past few years, where, I don't know how long it was ago, we actually set aside a vehicle equipment replacement fund, and capital improvement really became about, I would say, brick and mortar projects, I guess, and vehicles were not traditionally included in CIP anymore. So we budget for vehicles within the budget, and particularly larger ones. Like I said, in the past, we would look at programming them as a lease purchase. Vehicles and equipment like this really aren't eligible for temp note financing, but like I said, we are in a good position where we can afford this purchase with cash.
So to that point, what is the balance in the wastewater fund, or roughly, I mean?
So what I provided to Commissioner Von Lintel was that we look like we're gonna end the year with a fund balance. What I expressed was the budgeted was about 12.5 million. We're looking at being well above that. When I talked with Rebecca in our finance department today, we were looking at potentially up to $15 million just based on some budget savings that we had in 25, some maintenance projects that we deferred and didn't do. So that's why I'm very comfortable with recommending a cash purchase.
And then you talked about the existing equipment, the 3/4 ton pickup for the maintenance truck.
Yes.
This truck, it's what, 20 years old?
Yes, it is. So, I mean, we utilize 2 of these in our fleet. More often than not, it's a redundant system, but these get used on a daily basis, a lot of times together on the same project site. But when one goes down, we need to have access to the second one, so that's why we have 2. This existing piece of equipment, we have talked with other vendors about what that value was if we were to do a buyback. It has a lot more value for us, the existing piece of equipment, to keep. Surprisingly, trade-ins are only maybe like $10,000. Because it does have some motors and equipment because of age, they're gonna need some work. Stormwater department or fleet and Public Works has requested to be able to retain the existing vehicle for their purposes, because the stormwater folks, they do utilize these a lot. You buy these pieces of equipment, you get lifetime training, so all those maintenance staff are trained on utilizing those vehicles. So it's one of these things that they're not extremely costly for maintenance. They're very robustly built machines, so like I said, it makes good sense to keep them, especially if they will get utilized. But we wouldn't receive a lot back in the form of a trade-in. If we did Purple Wave it, I mean, these type of vehicles, other smaller communities love getting access to these, especially if they've been well maintained, and it's not gonna cost them a lot to invest in upgrading them. But so that's really what the intent, that we're not gonna dispose of it. At least that was not the recommendation. It's completely up to the governing body, but it would be a substantial benefit to other department and division to be able to have that, and to not have to borrow it from the water and wastewater utilities. I would say you can ask questions of Director Johnson if you have any of that, but I think it stands for itself.
So just kind of reiterating, so all of this is coming from the wastewater fund.
Yep.
So it's not gonna hit property tax, it's not gonna hit the general fund, there's gonna be so And what I would encourage is that we kind of focus on trying to not raise rates this year, that we plan.
Sure.
That would be my goal. I think it's very important right now to keep, with inflation the way it's been, for us to keep a handle on our fee increases, our tax increases. We don't want to do any of that.
Sure.
So the good news is I think I think both of your funds have sufficient capital. I'm feeling comfortable with it. I hope you're feeling comfortable with.
I do. And you'll hear later in the year when we start talking about updates for these funds. The rates that we set for next year, while we consider it, what we need for that particular year, the rates we set for next year really have more of an impact 5 years, 10 years down the road and what that fund balance looks like. So that's a big part of how we set rates. So obviously this isn't really the time to talk about that, but you'll hear a lot more about that in the road when we start giving updates and we go through the 27 budget development process. And we hope to have some consultants on board within the next year to help us go through a cost of services study too, so.
Well, and so some of it is setting a precedent of how I'm interacting with directors and how we need to be focused on budget year round. It is not spend multiple times and then worry about it later. We got to be on top of it. So
we try to be.
Thank you, Randy.
Thank you.
Oh,
Yeah, Randy, you said we're not looking at leasing things anymore so much. And I think maybe that's a discussion I'd be interested in having at a later time. I just read something about Salina is doing a lot of lease purchase, and they're sort of pushing that direction, and we're not. I mean,
I would say that would be more of a question for the city manager's office
Okay.
or the finance.
Maybe it's something we need to talk about as a commission sometime.
Yeah, I mean, it's a useful tool for these larger pieces of equipment.
Yeah.
When the fund can afford it with cash, that's just fine. I know it's a process of labor when the finance department has to go out and solicit bids for those lease purchases, so.
I would actually ask Rena to take a minute to step to the podium and talk about our change in policy from lease purchase.
Good evening, Mayor and Commissioners. Last year, as city administration met with departmental staff, we talked about our various lease purchases. At one point, we had about 30 lease purchases across the city. As Randy mentioned, a lot of our larger pieces of equipment were not able to debt finance through temp notes. The only things that we could do that for are our fire trucks, and we've recently done something with those. So in terms of lease purchasing, it's a very arduous process. You have to go out and solicit, and then we also have to get legal opinion and then move forward with the financing of that and making sure that the funds are available each year. Randy had mentioned earlier that we have a vehicle and equipment replacement fund that we instituted in 2023, and that's its own separate internal service fund. And the various departments that have vehicles and equipment, they do pay into that fund. However, in the past couple of years, we haven't been able to fully fund that just due to budget constraints. And so lease purchases play into that as well. And so the goal is to try to have departments save up the money that they need for their particular needs in terms of those larger purchases. And a lot of them are fire trucks, and then some of them are utility related as well.
Personally, I appreciate the paying cash versus lease purchase or financing, so.
Sir.
It would be interesting, though, to hear what Saline County what's behind their thing, because they seem to be feeling they're saving quite a bit of money with lease purchase. So, at some later point, maybe we could have a work session on that.
We can most definitely have that further conversation. Yes, ma'am.
Thank you, Rena.
Okay, you're welcome.
Commissioners, any other questions for Randy at this moment?
So when I first saw these two items on the agenda, I thought, oh God, you're wanting us to spend $700,000 our first meeting here. But I consider the water department, water, sewer, stormwater department, probably one of our top priorities as far as serving the needs of the community. And with regards to the pumper truck, I see those guys out working all the time.
Absolutely.
So I know that equipment gets used, so. As for the maintenance truck, I'm sure that would be better than a 3/4 ton pickup.
Sure.
For maintenance, so, and we have the money, so, and it's needed. So I would.
If you think $750,000 is good, wait for a few weeks.
Thank you, Randy. Let's see if there's any public comment on these items. Is there anyone in the room who would like to make public comment on this? All right, seeing none, we will close public comment. May I have a motion for agenda item C to consider the purchase of a service mechanic truck?
So I would move that we award purchase of a 2026 service mechanic truck in the amount of $107,324 from Master Tech Truck and Equipment, and authorize the disposal of excess property once replacement vehicle arrives.
I will second. Chelsea?
Commissioner McCullough,
Yes.
Commissioner Fox,
Yes.
Commissioner Morrison,
Yes.
Commissioner Von Lintel,
Yes.
Mayor Adamchak.
Yes.
Motion carries 5-0.
Thank you. And do we have a motion to consider the purchase of a 2025 truck-mounted single-engine combination sewer cleaner?
I'll just get right in here and do this.
All right.
I move we award a purchase of a 2025 truck-mounted, single-engine combination sewer cleaning truck in the amount of $588,703 from Red Equipment.
Second.
Chelsea, can you call the roll?
Commissioner Fox,
Yes.
Commissioner Morrison,
Yes.
Commissioner Von Lintel,
Yes.
Mayor Adamchak,
Yes.
Commissioner McCullough.
Yes.
Motion carries 5-0.
Thank you. We will wrap up our meeting with a briefing from the city manager.
Good evening, Mayor and newly elected commissioners. Appreciate the opportunity. Thank you all for putting your names in the hat and for coming out on top and choosing to serve this wonderful community. Sometimes we have a city manager's briefing. It's usually during our work sessions, but since this is our first opportunity for us to convene as a governing body, I did want to share with you all, there is a list of our 2026 city commission dates. So this is outlined. Your legislative meetings are on the 1st and 3rd Tuesdays. We begin at 6 o'clock every evening. And then work session dates are on the 2nd and 4th Tuesdays. So we have those before you. For your planning purposes. There are already a few meetings where we are not going to be meeting. So the first one will be on February 24th. That work session will be canceled. And then we try not to have meetings on 5th Tuesdays, but sometimes if we need to, we will schedule those. But we will make sure you all are aware of that, and we will coordinate with you in your schedules so that if you are planning to take time off, just let us know. One of those other meetings that we would typically have would be the 4th Tuesday in May. So that is actually the Tuesday after Memorial Day. So we will cancel that one as well. And then we will not have a meeting the Tuesday before Thanksgiving. And then we will cancel the meeting before Christmas. And then we will also cancel the following Tuesday, which is the December 29th, which is heading into that last week of December. And then we will reconvene again in January. So if you have any questions, this is just for your planning purposes. We do ask as staff, if you are planning on being away, you're not going to be able to attend a meeting, that you let us know. We do have the option to participate virtually, but we also recognize that you all have lives and also need to enjoy time away, even though there's no better place to come back to than Manhattan, Kansas, right? Other things that are in front of you this evening is the upcoming meetings and invitations. So your city clerk's office will provide and coordinate the various meetings and social engagements that you all are invited to. We will provide this calendar to you all during your work sessions. Again, as you are receiving those calendar invites, please be sure to accept or deny. That's how our city clerk's office makes sure that you are registered, make sure that if there is any fee that needs to be paid, that they can take care of that, as well as helping us track if there is going to be more than 3 of you at any of these meetings, and if it is something that we might need to potentially notice so that we are not in violation of an Open Meetings Act. So does anyone have any questions on the upcoming meetings and invitations that are before you this evening? Yes, Karen.
Yeah,
Sorry, Commissioner McCullough.
That's okay. When's the work, the 2-day session or whatever it is that we're,
Yep, so your retreat is going to be, it is on that first list. We will be February 2nd and February 3rd.
okay, thanks.
Yep, we will be at the Flint Hills Discovery Center.
February 2nd and 3rd.
Yes.
Yeah,
2 days.
thanks. Good. I thought it was then, but I,
So if there are any questions on any of these upcoming meetings, if you take this home and you have an opportunity to look at, please don't hesitate to reach out to Chelsea or Lauren and let them know. The last thing that I wanted to bring before you all are just the boards and committees where commissioners currently serve on. So that list is in front of you. The first one would be the Community Liaison Group for NBAF. That has typically been held by the mayor. Then we have our Flint Hills MPO Policy Board, which was vacated by Commissioner Opelt earlier this evening. So we need to find a replacement for him. The days and times that these committees meet is also listed. The Flint Hills Area Transportation Agency Board, which was also held by Commissioner Opelt as an alternate, so we need to make a replacement for that. Housing Authority Board was vacated by Commissioner Mata. And then we have the Municipal Audit Board, which was vacated by Commissioner Minton. And then the Riley County Law Board. I do want to note, we are planning to have a special legislative meeting when we have our work session on January 13th as an opportunity for you all to appoint a member to the Law Board. The Law Board will meet for their first meeting on January 20th at noon. Typically they meet on Mondays, but because it is Martin Luther King Day, they will meet on the Tuesday following. But that is before your next legislative meeting. So we will need to take an opportunity at that January 13th meeting to appoint someone to the Law Board to make sure that we have all the representation for Manhattan. So are there any questions about that?
Danielle, am I the first person on the area transportation? That Peter was the,
Yes, you are the first person.
Yeah.
He was an alternate.
I would be happy to relinquish that to anybody who wants to do it. I've been on that board for, I think, 30 years. So, just in the future.
Yep.
It's not a terrible amount of time, but it's the Adibus board, really. Mm-hmm.
I would be interested.
Okay.
Okay. I would encourage you to reach out to, Commissioner
So-
Fox.
There are 2 people on that board right now. Do we need 2 on it, or just 1?
I think Peter was the alternate, right?
Peter is the alternate.
And I would suggest that we do have someone present, someone listed as an alternate, because much like the boards that we discussed previously, some of these also have challenges meeting quorum.
Yeah.
And so having an alternate who can step in if the initial commissioner is not available is very helpful.
I think just to be upfront, one of the upcoming appointments, I think some of us would like to see Commissioner Morrison as our law board representative, just
And
for
I
your
will be,
FYI.
I will be upfront with you in saying that I am considering appointing myself to that position because I have not served on it, and I think it would be a good education for me to become more familiar with it.
We can decide that on the 13th.
You guys will have a week to have that conversation. So not all together, not together.
I also was gonna throw out, I don't think I've really talked to you too much about it, but my mornings are busy because I'm still working at Big Lakes, so evenings are, 4 o'clock is a reasonable time for me to be regularly available.
Sure.
So that's just kind of something to keep in mind.
Okay.
Thank you, Andrew.
Yeah, the last thing I wanted to let you all, make you all aware of is that on January 13th, we will be having a work session. In addition to the legislative session where we will appoint a law board member, we will have a work session about the Aggieville TIF district. And then as Randy did a little foreshadowing, we will have a work session on our construction manager at risk for the wastewater plant sewer expansion. So that's what you all have ahead of you for January 13th. That is all I have for you this evening.
Thank you, Danielle. Commissioners, any questions for Danielle?
Nope.
All right. Thank you. Is there a motion to adjourn our meeting?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor of adjourning the meeting of January 6, 2026, please say aye. 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 Thank you all.